This is round 1 of the first league of the 18th season. Locked in top 8 for season 17, so looking forward to that. But in the meantime, I'm going to keep, and hopefully nothing gets in the way of my turn 1 library. Looks like, yeah, some kind of aggro control. Lead with the diamond. Maybe they'll be, tempted to daze it or something. Get that library down. And yeah, they'll get at least one activation out of the Wayfarer, responding to their own fetch land activation. No, I can respond. I think I might. Yeah, I don't want to swords that. It really doesn't matter. I'll accumulate knowledge in response. And then this lets me put back any 2 of those 4, which is a pretty good deal, I guess. Really didn't get what I wanted, though. What's extra? I guess the swords is extra. Well, the probe is extra. No, the swords is more extra. Put that on top. And pay for life. Now I get to see a bunch of new stuff at least. Plus, if they play a land, then I'll be really far, well, I guess, behind against the Wayfarer. Yeah, it makes sense they would have one of those. Morph. That I will need to swords. Yeah, I'll just not respond. Okay. And do I swords it now, or do I try to get them to pay? I'll try it on their turn. That way they might counter it, and then I've got 2 more swords. So kind of a waste of their counter. Interesting they'd keep the Wayfarer back. They'd have to, wasteland themselves to make it work? It seems unlikely. Anyway, accumulate knowledge. Would be great as if they wasteland themselves and then responded by getting rid of it. Oh man. Well, get rid of those, I guess. Do I blessing? It fits really well. I guess I will. What do I even want to shuffle? Should I just blessing the opponent's fetch land back in? Or I guess Colosseum's not good either if they have no graveyard. Yeah, I don't want swords. Well, I don't know. I'll target my own Flooded Strand, I think. That feels like it makes enough sense. Sweet. Okay, so if I swords right now, then they won't have an opening to respond to their own wasteland on my coast. And yeah, I'm just going to save the Mox Diamond for a turn in which I also have a land drop alongside it. Fact or fiction? Yeah, they can have a bunch of lands or they can have a card that does something. Yeah, not the greatest example of Meddling Mage being used. Or not even used yet. Anyway, better to pay attention to what I'm doing. Let's put these two on top. Then Impulse. Yeah, I'll take the waste, I guess. Portent myself. Another land, but not the one I want. I'm going to get rid of it. There's Grizzly Fate. 8 cards in the graveyard. That is a wasteland. Pretty cool looking wasteland. Valley of Gorgoroth. Lord of the Rings. Sweet. Yeah, they can name whatever they want. I'm not sure what I would name in their place. Depends on what they have in their hand, I guess. Probably a decent amount of overlap with blue-white. Alright, guys, blessing. Put those on top. What do I want? I feel like they have a counter spell. Yeah, I'm going to take my time a little bit. Maybe draw out a counter on their turn. Do I take an extra card? Yeah, I suppose I will. I'm going to go for a kicked probe. Not going to gush yet. I bet it gets countered. Yep. It's an interesting counterspell. Final Fantasy. Alright, time to pull the trigger on the gush. Yep, didn't have to counterspell to force it through, and if they have a Wrath, they can resolve it, and I'll just play another Grizzly Fate. Then, of course, they have Flashback. Right, that's it. Sweet. One game down. And how am I going to board for this aggro control deck? Even though they have Wayfarer, I don't think Web is going to do anything. Wrath is inefficient. Yeah, there really isn't much to bring in. I didn't see anything to, and well, no, I saw Mox Diamond. I guess worst case I could annul one. I mean, I'd rather disenchant it, obviously, but are they going to have a sorcery I want to counter? What would it even be? Maybe they play like one Armageddon, but they definitely board it out here against another Gush deck. Furnace doesn't matter. Maybe I should just put one web back in. There might be more utility lands that I just didn't happen to see. I don't think I'd want to risk drawing two of it though, but then again, I could say the same about Annul. At least web replaces itself. Yeah, I really loaded up on stuff for burn. Maybe I should have held back a little bit. Yeah, I'm trying to think, is there anything to envelop? I think there's, yeah, I don't know, there's just probably literally nothing. Furnace doesn't matter. Yeah, I'll just do this. Web is probably better than I give it credit for. If I can keep one of their, like their Cephaly Coliseum tapped or something, or if they tap a Wasteland for mana. Yeah, it seems pretty clear cut that that is the card to keep. Great, so I have 60 cards that I'm happy to have. And nothing in the sideboard that I wish I could have found room for, which is the ideal. Opponent mulligan to 6. Yeah, that's some late game cards. I'll shuffle it. Yeah, I'm not gonna bluff Daze or whatever. I guess I could bluff Foil. That might be a reason to hold priority. But the plan should probably be to F6 until I have a decent time advantage. What are they going to do on 3 mana that I care about? Probably not much, so I won't keep Counterspell up. AK, Guy's Blessing, an Island. Yeah, that's not very inspiring either. Shuffle again, And I'll play an island. Psychodog. Cool. Yep, that can resolve, and I'll get rid of it for 1 mana. That's funny. Alright. Yeah, no reason to play the diamond yet. Well, not no reason, but not enough of a reason. I just don't want to be held back by it. Alright, Grizzly Fate number 2. Yeah, there we go. Should probably just play that and pass. Give it 1 more turn at least. Oh, what are they up to? Throne Gush. Yeah, I guess I'll allow it. That's tempting to counterspell, but I'm not going to. Okay, great. So I'll swords this and then counterspell their counterspell. Oh, they didn't have one. Cool. We're gonna have to gush first. That I do want to force through. Do I play it now? Yeah, I guess. Hopefully I don't regret the timing. And yeah, I'll keep the counterspell up. I can play conservatively. Go for the disenchant on the end step. Well, no, they probably have Factor Fiction. Maybe I should have just done it. No. What am I doing? Upkeep. Yep, that's alright. Yeah, nothing to catch with the web. I'll go for a Fate. Alright, that's counterspell number 3. They're really burning through them, and of course they don't have Guy's Blessing, at least as far as I know. Oh, they've got their own AKs. I guess they just drew 0 of them last game. I don't know, it's not impossible that they would have had in the sideboard, but that seems unlikely. Hopefully they don't pull too far ahead. This is interesting. Should I just play... Yeah, they'll get 1 activation off the strand, but then we'll be even, basically. Yeah, knowing they have accumulated knowledge, it's gonna take some finesse to play around. Really don't want them landing another one. I mean, I went for my bears this turn because they're probably gonna get wasteland off my coast. But after this, I'll probably want to keep counterspell up. What'd they get? Colosseum. All right. Yeah, the high impact of Grizzly Fate is probably going to matter quite a lot. Yeah, just going for the 5th land. Main phase Factor Fiction. Parallax Tide. That's interesting. Second Wayfarer. That's basically useless. I guess the Tide is best. And I can pair it alongside. I don't want to give them the Furnace. That's like the other good card. So, which is better, Tide or Furnace? I mean, Furnace they can resolve right now. Tide, they probably can't force through. They only have 1 counterspell left in the whole deck. But if they land it, it will be a big pain. Yeah, they can have Wasteland and Tide in the same pile. Furnace, Wayfarer, Island. Yeah, that seems like a good split. Alright, Furnace, Wayfarer, Island. Go for the web. Mox Diamond. I guess I'll just play that and end. If they have another Tide and a counterspell to force it through, I'll be glad to have the Flooded Strand. Plus it lets me chain Gushes a little more easily. See what they can dig up. Glory, huh? Yeah, that I'm going to try and counter. Just instant speed, not when they're attacking or anything, not during the upkeep, just anytime. Big mana sink. Well, I guess I have a use for the Furnace. That's interesting. I'll do my attack. Blocking, taking 4. Right, I don't need more bears right now. It doesn't really do anything. I'll impulse look for an AK. Gush will work. Guy has blessing on counterspell, counterspell, and gush. Gush, really? Maybe impulse. Maybe just accumulate knowledge. Yeah, I'll do accumulate knowledge. Port it myself. Gush, probe. Yeah, that's good stuff, I guess. I think I want the gush first. We'll see what they can pull off here. End of turn, get rid of a Grizzly Fate. Get my gush. If they play something that I really, really want to counter. Alright, that's it. No need to see what gush would have gotten. Good start to the league.